Hello guys, and even Dr. Erhart said that my brain is kind of like a computer. However, I remember when I was on the iPad with Dr. Erhart, just remember, even Dr. Erhart told me that my brain is kind of like a computer, and he did say my brain is like a computer, because the brain is like a computer. And however, Dr. Erhart told me my brain is like a computer. He said my brain is kind of like a computer. Now, I'm gonna tell you why the brain is kind of like a computer. Because number one, a computer, the word computer has some definitions. Definition number one, it is an electronic device that manipulates data and stores it and follows it. It's an electronic device that stores programs and follows instructions given to it in a variable program. Now there's definition two, and that's a person who performs calculations, especially using a calculating device. So one, a machine, and two, a person who computes. So, however, my brain is basically, it's like a computer in many ways, because it processes information and it stores information, and each parts of the brain calculate. The brain calculates. The brain does calculations, and it does math. So, what are you if you do math? Or anyways, I'm going to use that other word. What are you if you compute? That's what I got from Stephanie. What is your brain if it does math? That's right. I can be a mathematician, and I can go for a job someday to work as I can go to a job there. They do have these jobs where you could work as, like, there is a job where you could become a human computer. You could become a human computer and perform calculations and do math. So computer can be defined as programmable high-speed electronic device for processing and storing data. And computer can also be defined as a human being that performed calculations in the early 17th century, also known as the 1930s. Because in the 1930s or in the 1940s, computers were people who performed calculations. Why is my dad not talking to me about that? He keeps punishing me. I said it. In the 1930s, computers were people who performed calculations. I just said that. I'm going to say it again because you didn't hear me. In the 1940s, computers were people who performed calculations. And today, before electronic computers became commercially available. So yes, Alan Turing described the human computer where he was supposed to be following fixed rules. Why doesn't he give a crap about that information? Why doesn't he give a crap? Like, why does he not care about, why is it that he doesn't care if the brain is like a computer? I was talking to Dr. Erhart, and Dr. Erhart said that the brain is like a computer. You're gonna make me mad, and I'm gonna go and corrupt my mental antivirus program. I'm gonna crash programs like a computer. Do you want that to happen? Well, then people gotta stop punishing me, because I'm gonna crash that program. Dr. Erhart, when I was talking to on the iPad, told me that the human mind, he told me that my brain is kind of like a computer because of the functions that it has, because it has functions that involve information processing and input and output and storage and stuff like that. So yes, it is like a computer. I don't care what you say. Pretty soon I am going to get out of here. I am going to leave this place. I'm not going to be here anymore because of how messed up this world has become. This world has become. Daddy took my Alexa. I can't look up what computers were in the 1930s because I know our brains are like computers, and however, computers are like the brain, and the brain is like a computer. He took my Alexa, so I'm going to crash my mental antivirus program. He took my Alexa, so I'm going to crash the antivirus program. I hate that. Sometimes when it just feels like the computer is not, sometimes when I feel like that his mind is not more powerful than a computer, and I sometimes have to tell you and come across that the mind is not more powerful than a computer, but it is like a computer. So I'm gonna say the mind is not more powerful than a computer because Daddy took my Alexa, so I'm going to say the mind is not more powerful than a computer. The mind is not more powerful than a computer because that's what it's not. The mind is not more powerful than a computer. However, I believe that just because I was able to liken the brain to a computer, and then Stephanie was able to liken the brain to a computer, and however other people were able to liken the brain to a computer, and all that was a proven of cybernetics. Computers were humans back in the day. In the 1940s, computers were humans. I saw what the book said. Now, I had the human book. I had a book about a computer called Catherine, and Grandma told me that that's fiction, and I ripped it. But guess what? It still was approved to be true that computers were human in the 1930s. However, until the 1940s, computers were people who perform advanced calculations. Before electronic computers were commercially available. Because when I first describe why the brain is similar to a computer, however, the human brain is similar to a computer because it does what? It processes information. It processes information. And I'm not going to tell you guys again to stop saying that it's not. The human brain processes information. We've been through this already. It is the command center of our whole entire body. And the book calls it a living computer. And you know that part in the brain is kind of a big deal. You know the book, The Brain is Kind of a Big Deal. They have all these comparisons, and basically they talk about how your brain is always collecting information like a computer, but right now we still haven't been to a part where I started to tell you guys why computers were human back in those days, like the 1940s and 1930s, and that was when computer was a job title. Computer was a job title back in the day. We didn't have computers. We didn't even have Alexa yet. And we didn't even have Amazon Echo, and we didn't even have a Bluetooth speaker. We couldn't even use Bluetooth because all that stuff needed to be invented first. And we didn't have the internet. In the 1940s and back in the day until the 1940s or 1930s, whatever you want to call it, we were those things. We were those things. Our brain was a computer back in those days. But now it has changed to where they say the brain is like a computer. However, it is similar. It's said to be similar to a computer. Now, if the brain is like a computer, then there's a number of similarities. I don't know why my dad keeps punishing me, but I'm getting sick and tired of it. And I hate it. I hate it when my dad punishes me. I was talking to Dr. Earhart on the iPad, and he told me that my brain is kind of like a computer, which is still good. I don't have a problem with the word kind of like, because it still has the word like in it, and it's still comparing it. Just because it says kind of doesn't mean that there are no similarities. That doesn't mean that the brain is not like a computer just because it says kind of. However, just because it says kind of doesn't mean that they're still not alike. It doesn't mean that they're still not like, because I said they are like a computer. It does similar things. A brain and a computer does similar things, and they have similar principles. A brain and a computer can do similar things. That is why there are some similarities between the brain and the computer. A brain and a computer have similar characters. They share similar characters, and they share similar input and similar processing. If people are telling me that my brain is not a computer, then that is not good. Because when I went to the Kessler Center, I tried to qualify that. And that's what I did. It means you can either compare or you can qualify and use statements. And comparing is using a statement too. It's saying and stating that the brain is like a computer. And they work similar. They work perfectly similar. Yes, you are right that the brain is also more complex than a computer, but they are similar. The brain is similar to a computer, but the brain is also more complex than a computer, and it's better than a computer. Both a brain and a computer have similar meanings. Meanings to similarities and comparison and like or as, similarities and differences, and compare and contrast, and all that stuff. Compare and contrast. It means I want to compare the brain to a computer. And I know that it works like one. And the brain can be similar to a computer. Dr. Earhart said it. Stephanie said that the brain is a computer. Alex said that the brain is a computer. They all said it. They said that it's like a computer. Like. Now, there's no reason why someone should punish me. Although I likened the brain to a computer. That was a massive good thing. Massive good thing.